Shalom everyone. I wanted to go ahead and do a quick video. This video will not be long. I want to go ahead and talk about understanding and understanding. We know that understanding is comprehension. I'm going to go ahead first apologize because yes, this is the weekend, so my family is roundabout. The TVs are on, so you will hear noise in the background. But I wanted to do a small video just to explain the difference between understanding and understanding. And I know some people will say, well, understanding is a word that we done made up, but it's not. Because within understanding is insight. And from insight, you come into a place of knowing. You cannot come into a place of knowing from understanding, because understanding is just comprehension. And so you are comprehending the information that is being given to you through books, through videos, and through studying. That is understanding. You don't gain understanding from reading and studying books. Understanding takes the next step, and that's an action. And so we can learn about solar energy or learn about spirituality through reading books, but it's not until you have experienced it for yourself that it turns into understanding, turns into your personal insight, and that insight turns into a knowing. And so we have to move from understanding to understanding. And the only way that you can go from a place of understanding to understanding is actually getting your hands dirty. You cannot do that from just reading. And so if anyone say, well, I notice I have an understanding because I read something, you are still in a place of understanding because you have not actually taking the steps of creating something from that information that you have comprehended. And so one way of understanding is writing. And so taking that information and coming up with your own ideas. As somebody who's a spiritualist, somebody who's on a spiritual journey, you should always have some book or journal that you are keeping with you to write down information, not just your dreams. You're supposed to be writing down ideas that are being downloaded to us and then working on those ideas, taking it further than just I had this download. That download should move into something. So let me give you an example of that. And so let's say, and I'm going to move this stuff on the side, but let's say, okay, you're studying, okay, what is the difference? What makes time travel, or what makes stargates and traveling through those stargates possible? Now, it's a concept right now, but you're taking it from a download that you know that it's possible, and you're taking it from that place, and you're bringing it into a place of understanding. And one way to do that is through writing. And so let's say we know that we are 3D, we say third dimensional beings. I don't use the word dimensional, I use density, because when you use the word density, it takes you to another place of understanding what is really going on. And so we are 3 density beings, third density beings, okay? So and we know that angels are 6 density beings. And we know when we talk about density, we are talking about frequency. Okay, and so we're moving from a frequency from here to here. And so if you have a person standing here and you are standing within a stargate, you have to understand that it's a dimensional, and you want to come out over here intact and might be in a higher frequency when you come out of there. Okay, so this is what's happening. You're here. This is how you take something from book knowledge and you bring it into an understanding, into a place of knowing. Even though it's in a prototype or a concept, it's not something you're actually doing. You have taken it from a place of understanding to understanding because you are trying to gain greater insight of what is really going on. And so you are standing at this stargate, and what's happening, there is a atomic or molecular dismemberment or displacement that's happening, because you cannot stay in this form and pass through a wormhole. Okay, and so you know that your atoms are literally coming apart and you are moving in light speed. You're going back into your light form. That light form, gas form, is passing through, and when it comes out on the end of that stargate, you are brought back into your dimensional form, or your density, or a higher density, depending on where you are after you come through that gate. Now that's my understanding of what's going on from what I read. Now we know that wormholes do exist, but no one actually went through one to say, well, this is what's going on. This is from my understanding, from what I receive and what I study. I gained the understanding of it. I'm able to bring it forth in my own version. That's understanding, okay? And then I can apply it, meaning I can put it on paper to try to share what I believe is going on within the wormhole, because your body is not intact. And so you're literally increasing in frequency, and that increase in frequency is what causes the atoms to separate. So no longer you're not 3D matter anymore when you're passing through here. You're passing at a higher frequency, so you're basically gas when you're moving like that. And so this is called transdimensional engineering or transdimensional transcendence. Okay, so this is what's happening within the wormhole. That's how we take something from a place of, we take something from understanding, reading it, we bring it to ourselves, and we try to gain an understanding because we're taking it inward and we're trying to gain insight. That's what understanding is. Gaining insight on something that you have read and you have comprehended. And so just having a comprehension of something is not understanding. Understanding is when you can take that information and make it your own to the place where you know. Okay, and that's with anything, not just with this kind of stuff, even with spirituality. And like I said, we know that angels and spirits are moving at a higher density, and the reason we know this is because we can't see them with our 3D eyes. And so we are third density beings. And these other entities are moving, they are different density beings, and based off their density is the reason why we cannot see them. Okay, but it doesn't mean that they are not around. And so right now we're in fourth density, and so now we're seeing a lot of things that we couldn't see years before, and if we did see it, we thought it was just our eyes playing tricks on us. But now it's so evident that we can't run away from it. And so this is a way of knowing, moving from a place of understanding to understanding. And it's the same with this solar stuff. And so I'm going to give you an example of that. We can read the information, get an understanding of what solar energy is from a place of understanding. But to gain understanding is actually, you have to get your hands dirty. You have to go in. You have to take this stuff apart. And so that's what I did. I bought a 97-cent one. This is the solar panel here. And you can see that they're wires. Remember I was talking about the connectors, connecting wires? You have a negative end and a positive end. The positive end is the white. The negative end is the black. Now, I did some of these experiments, and I didn't take into account that I have to connect the wires based off of positive and negative, and so I didn't see any results from it. And so the experiment, at first I was like, these people are just lying, and the spirit had to correct me and say, no, they're not lying. You the one messed up, okay? So I had to go back and look at it and say, well, what happened? And so that was the biggest thing. I didn't realize. I just was connecting wires, not realizing it's the way you connect these wires. You have to connect the negative with the negative and the positive with the positive. You cannot put the negative wire with the positive and the positive wire with the negative. You will not see anything. And so that's what happened yesterday when I tried this. Okay, and so this is, these are only 97 cents. This one is fully charged. And so I'm going to take this apart, and I am going to, see this ends right here. I'm going to leave this here because this wire, I'm going to tell you what's going on with this. This is literally connected to the solar panel. And so this energy that is being gathered from the solar panel is being gathered through these wires, through these wires, electrical wires, and it's going to this board, and it's being stored in the battery. The battery operates as a storage, and it operates as a generator at the same time, because the solar energy has nowhere to go if you don't have anything attached to it, okay? And so this is how we're able to store that energy and to use it later on. And so this is the project that I have been working on to gain insight, and that's 97 cents. That's all it is. It's 97 cents. I'm going to take this apart because I'm going to show you the battery and how this light is actually coming on. Okay? Simple little stuff like this will give you insight. Okay? And that's what you want. because this is how we move into cosmic intelligence. We don't move into cosmic intelligence just reading stuff. We have to gain insight. And I'm going to tell you something, with this gaining this insight, it's not just reading stuff that we see, it's stuff that we can't see either. You will find that these entities, and that's why I'm not on board with people saying this stuff is just our imagination, because I have seen too much to know better. But this is the battery, and this is being stored. So that energy, see, this is your negative, this is your positive. And the same wire that is the positive is passing to your solar panel. So this energy is being gathered and stored into this battery. Okay, this is insight. This is not me just reading something and I'm regurgitating. I am taking this stuff apart to get an understanding of what is really going on. So if I take this battery out, this light will go off. And that's one of the reasons why this light is not on. Because the energy wasn't stored. Okay, the energy has nowhere to go. So it's just not gonna go anywhere. So we have this energy stored in the battery. The battery behaves as a generator, and now I can use this battery to use it for this LED light, or I can use it for other things. And so that's my project, what I'll be working on, how to take this energy and to be able to apply it. And so you see these little prongs hanging out right here. If I wanted to attach something to it, I would take the solder and I would use the soldering wire to attach more electrical wires to it. So I would make sure to attach the positive with the positive side and the negative with the negative side. And so I would use that to turn something on. So we see people doing this already. This is how we gain insight. And like I said, the other project I did, it didn't work out. And that's because I went ahead, when I did it, I didn't do it correctly. And I even had the audacity to put in a comment that the person was lying. The spirit had to correct me, and I need to go back to that person's website and remove that comment I made. But it just shows you that the spirit is with you when you open yourself up for these things. And so this is how you gain insight. So I just wanted to talk about this because a lot of times we think we have understanding because we done read so many books. And we are just only gaining understanding. It's when we sit down with that information and we can take that information and make it our own. We bringing it inward and we are making it our information. And when we make it our information or make it my information, now it is understanding. And so I have gained an understanding of working with spirits because I have worked with them. It's not just reading books anymore. I'm not reading books about this and that and how people have had these encounters and what they deal with. I had dealt with them personally for myself, and because of that, I have an understanding of working with spirits. And not all of them. I work with a certain few, and now I stick with the ones I work with. I'm not going out looking for other spirits to work with to build up some resume. I don't care about building up no resume of spirits I work with. That's not my MO. But it's about gaining understanding. And the more understanding you gain, the more you gain a knowing about yourself. Because understanding is attached to who you are. And so my understanding is not your understanding. Somebody can take the same information about the wormhole and come up with something completely different based off of who they are. Based off of who they are. Okay? What they have gained over the centuries and the decades and all these different incarnations, because all that stuff comes out of you when you are learning and when you are getting insight. All you're doing is tapping into your reservoirs of all the information you have gained over all the incarnations that you have received in all the different lifetimes that you have had. And so I just want to go ahead and just quickly just do this. I want to get off of here because anytime I do a live video, it takes a very long time for it to upload. But I wanted to show you the difference between understanding and the difference between understanding. So don't let people be talking about you gain understanding. You can't gain understanding from someone else's understanding. You cannot look at videos and gain understanding from somebody else's understanding and their understanding. That is their understanding. They have taken the time out, have meditated, have marinated with that information, have set with that information, have allowed that information to permeate every cell of their body, and now it is a part of them. And so that is understanding. You don't have understanding from somebody else's understanding. And so I know we use these words freely, and we just throw these words out without clearly understanding what these words really mean. And so I just wanted to go ahead and do a quick video. But I hope it prompts all of us to leave the place of understanding and go into the place of understanding by getting our hands dirty, by taking these things apart, by gaining some insight. Because like I said, I just was putting it together, not realizing that you just can't glue and you can't put wires together and think it's going to work. No, if you're not attaching the wires correctly, if you're not putting the positive with the positive, the negative with the negative, you will not see anything. And I tell you, I went yesterday, it was fun, but I had no success. I did 3 experiments, 3 projects, and all 3 of them flopped. Okay, and I even had, like I said, even had audacity to put a comment and tell the person they're lying. But like I said, I'm going to remove that comment. But at the same time, yeah, I learned something, because I had to go back. I don't know how the idea came. Go look at the wires. Are you putting this correctly? You know, I don't know what made me go back to look at it, but then I realized I was putting the wires backwards. And so this is how we learn. This is how we gain understanding. So I'm going to go ahead and end this video. Have a blessed night. Have a blissful night. Talk to you later.